Why animal experimentation? Because the animal is small, we can house the large number of animals, short lifespan, so multiple generation of animal reproducibility is possible, and animals also having a capability to continuously breeding, so large number of animals we can bred for the duration of studies, easy to handle. So for this reason we can go for the animal experimentations. And also we have evidence, plenty of research, animal research already they have done from the 16th century itself till now. So many research are going on. So that's the reason I am going for the animal experimentation. If you say like this, that's enough. That is not enough. Because if you say like this, you are going to face the problems. Different protesters, particularly you know that most of the organizations like a BINCHA, so many organizations, they are against the animal studies. So you have to justify that with the sake of reasons, with the sake what I said here, like with the sake of that reasons, I am going for the animal research for just a piece of certificates or paper, otherwise for my pursuing my PhD. So otherwise for the funding agency, I am going for the animal studies means that is not good. Animal experimentation. Before going for the animal experimentation, we have thorough knowledge, at least some basic knowledge about the animal studies. So we just imagine what their protester says. You never go for animal studies. You never go for the animal research. What will be happen? So without animal studies, that current populations, it's may half of the population will be survived because so many vaccinations we have isolate or derived from the animals. Before administered to the humans, it's tested to the animals, it's for the safety reasons. So the vaccinations is give the life. So for currently we have in COVID condition. So before 20 or 30 years back, smallpox vaccinations, polio vaccinations, so many vaccinations, TT, even common TT. So many vaccinations act as a life-saving drug. So these are the vaccinations never come without animal experimentation. So animal experimentation is very mandatory for the human welfare. That's a justification. Yeah, this is the slide. So if we stop the animal research, we will stop the real killers. So most of them, you know that in World War, nowadays we are commonly using penicillins. But in World War, without innovative penicillin, how many people are dying for the common sepsis conditions? So the reality, without animal experimentation, the survival is very, very tough. So nowadays, so many alternative models there, but till once the drug administered before the humans, it must be go for the preclinical trials. So you have to justify that. So once you can go for the animal experimentation means, okay, these are the reasons. For that reason, I am going for the animal experimentation. That's right, okay. But at the same time, you know the basic knowledge, how many number of animals you are using, which species you are going to use. So how you are going to control, how you are going to maintain. So many questions are there. So for example, for the protesters or those who are against animal studies, this is a pie diagram. It's going to show the how much animals or lives is killed for food purpose. These are the data is just 5 to 10 years old data. So for food purpose itself, around 700 millions of lives has been killed. For the sake of pets or stray dogs, stray pets, so many things. How many numbers of animals has been killed? But the medical research, for the sake of medical research, when compared to food source, we are losing only 3 millions of animals. But the 3 million animals is going to sacrifice or is going to produce the how many welfare for the human population. So this is the average food consumption for the normal UK citizen. So throughout the lifespan of UK citizen now, is going to, for food purpose itself, is going to consume 600 chickens, 30 sheep, 30 pigs, around 5 cows throughout the lifespan. But in animal research, only the 3 mice and 1 rat for the personal consumption and 8 mice for rat for the public health. So this much of animals has been killed for food purpose. That is not a big issue. But once we are going for these animals for use the research means, that's an issue. So it's a 50-50 problem. So, okay, once we can go for the animal studies. How which species are repeatedly used means mostly, you can see this diagram. Mostly in animal research, they are using mice. Next one is rats. Next one is amphibians and isthmians. So, most of the research is done in mice. Okay, sir. I am justify the protesters. I am ready to do the animal experimentations. What I can. So you have to obey these trials. Once you are going to perform these studies, you must know the ethics. What are the ethical principles as being followed during animal studies, and what are the laws is covered, which may differ by country by country. The next one is science. In which science background, for what purpose you are going to do the animal experiments. So you have to know all the concepts. This must be obeyed the science and laws and ethics. Then only you are ready to do the experimentation. Okay. Once you can get the animals, you get the approval, you are going to do the animal experimentation. Means that animal has been monitored by these of 3 members. Animal veterinarian and animal in charge faculty or staff, and each and every institute they are having an IAC. So this IAC is going to control the animal usage and permission, give the permission for the animal experimentation, and as usual PA, principal investigation. So the 3 peoples, major peoples, are going to contribute the animals for the animal welfare. Okay. So these are still now we are seeing the justification for the animal experimentation. What is the necessary? What is the need to do the animal experimentation? Now I am going to for example the real purpose. Why we are worried about the ethics in the research project? What to consider while writing the protocol? Once we are writing the protocol, for namesake I can explain. Once we are going to pursuing a PhD, they are at least they have end with 1 animal experimentation in any other department, even from the pharmacy, tubes, whatever. So it's going to fulfill only with animal experiment, whether that's really necessary. So what are the principles? 3 RS, 4 RS, 5 RS principle. What they are saying, what they are trying to say, what they are restrictive for animal research. At last, IAC, Institutional Animal Ethical Committee. What is role? What are the composition fellows are there? Why they are always restricted for the animal usage? What they want actually? At last, the international regulations, what they say about the animal experimentation. These are the things I am going to explain for the further slide. Why we are worried about ethics? Because working with the animal is privilege, and also you are playing or you are working with live lives. So, and also it's necessary to become a competent researcher. It's a fulfillment. If you are saying I am a research means it's a without animal experimentation, without animal experiment, animal handling, it's never fulfilled. At the same time, you have to include the treatment of animals in human and carefully because you are playing in life. So, why we are follow the ethics? Simple statement. The unregularized freedom is too dangerous in democracy. No restriction is there. You can use how many number of animals for your studies. At the end, you have to do some research. Means what will be happen? Everybody started to doing animal studies without any regulation. So it's definitely going to impact on the life. So at the same time, for this animal studies, we have to some regulations. So regularized dictatorship is a real democracy. So once you are going to play in the labs, we have to follow some regulations by various regulatory companies. So currently we are following this 3RS policy. Actually, this 3RS principle is introduced by the British scientist Russell and Birch. What they are said, whenever you are going for the animal experimentation, before you have to follow these three principles. The first one is replacement, second one is reduction, the third one is refinement. So what is replacement? Whether that animal studies is mandatory. Without animal studies, whether it is possible to change for any replacement or any method is available. For example, before 20 or 30 years before, the frag experiment is commonly it's available for the UG student. But later the CPA said the frag has been banned for the animal experimentation. So what they have done, they can go for the simulations. So replacement, the same manner, based upon your studies, whether it is a mandatory, otherwise any alternative sources, that means we can go for the replacement. The second one is reduction. Okay, no possible for the replacement animals. For your experimentation, no replacement is there. So definitely I need animals for my studies. Means okay, that's all. Next, reduction. Okay, but you can get the animals how much you want, you can, but whether it is possible to reduce the animals number size. So your purpose, you are going to evaluate some activity. You have mentioned 100 animals, means really that 100 animals is necessary. Whether it is possible to reduce, means you can reduce. Then the refinement. So even you can give the animals, you can follow some refinement process. That means to avoid the animal suffering, you have maintained the animal welfare. That is third process. So these are the three principles you have to follow before you can start the animal experimentation. Okay. We have said so many things as justify the animal experiments. Then we can go for the what are the principles we have to follow, where I have to stand, all those things. Next, I'm ready. I'm going to do the animal experimentation in India. What are the act is there? So in old days, in 1960, we have a Prevention of Cruelty Act. So currently we are in CPSG guidelines we have followed, and each and every institute, otherwise those who are having animal laws, they are having a IAC, that means Institutional Animal Ethics Committee. So the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee is a combination of various people, scientists, peoples, and volunteer, and the CPSC nominee. It's a combination of several members. So it's going to cover the various functions. Yeah, this is the composition. So it's composed by 7 members, 1 biological scientist, 2 scientists from the different domain, and the third one is veterinarian. So in CPSC, 1 veterinarian must be there, and animal house in charge. These are the 4 members we can appointed from the institute. So the remaining 3 members has been nominated by the CPCA. 1 scientist from outside the institute. They are non-scientific, socially aware member. This is the person is going to torture your when you are going to present the applications. 6%. The last one is main nominee. It's nominated by the CPC. So these are the 7 members. It's a composition of IAC. What their function? They are receive the application, review your applications. So once you have proposed the Animal Ethical Committee, animal application form means IAC application form means they have received, then review, then they can evaluate, then they have to decide whether it is approved, otherwise they have a minor correction, otherwise rejected. So even that problem is not over there itself. Once they are given the approval, they can go for the follow-up procedures. So whether once you can get the approval, whether you are going to do the studies, how much animals you have taken, whether post-approval monitoring. So after get the animals, what are the things you have done with the animals? So all those things they have their functions. And last, they have submit their report to CPSC.